Hey, what's going on, guys? What's happening? YouTube, you guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. We are back with another episode of Side Hustle Tuesdays. Now, before we launch into today's episode, I just wanted to say last week was episode 98. It was the first episode I'd done in almost a year to the day. I think it was a year short. I think it was 1 day short of being a full year that we kind of went on a hiatus from doing this series. I'm not really sure why I fell off. 2019 was a pretty busy year for me. These take up a decent amount of time, and sometimes it can be difficult trying to connect with different entrepreneurs who are not only willing to share their business, but willing to share some of their sales numbers and some inside data and stuff like that. For whatever reason, I fell off, but last week was our first week back. It's good to be back. These are fun episodes to do. I've always enjoyed doing these stories. It's been cool to connect with a lot of you guys, since a lot of you guys have had your stories or your side hustles featured on here. And it's good to be back. Like I said, I always enjoyed these. It seems like you guys enjoy them as well. And so I'm going to try to be consistent here in 2020, putting out a new episode every Tuesday. For whatever reason, round numbers, always tend to seem important or be important. So episode 100 seems like kind of a landmark. It's kind of crazy we've done 100 episodes. I am going to sit down tonight and put these all into a YouTube playlist. So if you're new to the series, if there's some episodes you've missed along the way, you can check those out. So I'm going to make sure everything's added to the playlist, and I'll put a link to that in the description box below as well. And then lastly, I just wanted to invite you guys to share your side hustle stories. I do have 2 or 3 stories on deck, but with it being episode 100, I wanted to do something kind of special, and I thought it would be cooler to feature a side hustle story from somebody who's actually part of the Rules for Rebels community, somebody who, I think we all kind of know each other. Sometimes you guys kind of chat in the comments sometimes. I've had a chance to connect with a lot of you guys, and I think it'd be a lot more fun if we could share somebody from the community story. So like I said, even though I got a couple stories on deck ready to go, if you guys would like to share your side hustle story with me and have it turned into the 100th episode of Side Hustle Tuesdays, hit me up, rulesforrebels@gmail.com. Also on my kind of half-assed, half-finished website /blog, rulesforrebels.com. I think there's a navigation tab at the top that says Side Hustle Tuesdays, and there's a little questionnaire there. So if you guys want, you can go straight to that link. I'll also put that link in the description box below, or if it's easier for you, just shoot me an email at rulesforrebels@gmail.com. Tell me a little bit about your business. I'll send you a little questionnaire. If I got all the info I need, I'll get started. More than likely, I probably need to connect with you via Hangouts, or at the very least, send a couple emails back and forth, get a few more details, and then I'll put the story together. These do take a little bit of time to put together, and I probably will have a little bit of back and forth questions with you. So if you are interested, obviously it's got to go out next Tuesday. So get in touch with me as soon as possible if you're interested. And even if you're not ready to go right now, if you'd like to be featured on a future episode of Side Hustle Tuesdays, anytime, feel free, shoot me an email, rulesforrebels@gmail.com. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. One other thing to mention, I always kind of write out like a script for these episodes, and then I always find myself wanting to kind of like freestyle or add a couple details at the beginning. So I did want to invite you guys to submit your stories. So in a second here, when I say, hey, what's up, guys? What's going on? You've tuned into Rules for Rebels. I didn't fuck up editing. I'm not forgetting what I said. I already had a script written out and then just kind of freestyled to kind of let you guys know a couple updates at the beginning here. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Hey guys, what is going on YouTube? You've tuned into Rules for Rebels and another episode of Side Hustle Tuesdays. Today's episode is episode 99. Last week was our first episode back after almost a year hiatus, and it's good to be back, and I think you guys are going to like today's episode. Today's episode fits in nicely with another video we recently did about teachers paying teachers, an online website and marketplace where teachers can sell their creative lesson plans, crafts, and creative activities. Today's story is in the education niche, although it's a little bit different. Anyhow, let's dive right into it. So today's side hustle story is about a woman and pediatrician named Marcy Klein and her 2 kids, Ayana and Ethan, who created a business which makes fun activities to teach kids art, architecture, and geometry. Today's side hustler, again, is Marcy Klein and her 2 children. Now, Marcy is not a stranger to side hustles. A few years before creating 3 Ducks Designs with her 2 children, Marcy had had some success with a small furniture business. This side hustle of hers inspired her children, and the 3 of them wound up embarking on a side hustle together. It was actually Marcy's daughter, Ayana, who came up with the idea after attending an architecture summer camp one summer. Ayana had the idea to come up with a fun toy that would allow kids to build things and in turn teach them art, geometry, and even engineering using little plastic connector pieces and sheets of cardboard. Now, I think one challenge when people want to design something new or invent something that hasn't been created is how the heck do I make what I envision? It's a lot easier to private label and slap your brand or logo on an existing product than it is to come up with something entirely new. Fortunately, with the advent of affordable 3D printing and free open source CAD software, it doesn't have to be super expensive or overwhelming. You guys may have seen the video I did with the creator of the Steam Clip, a multi-tool for travelers. He actually used a 3D printer and hired a designer off Fiverr to do the drawing, so this is a trend and definitely making the prototyping of inventions and designs a lot more attainable to the average person. The family purchased a 3D printer at Home Depot of all places. I didn't even know Home Depot sold 3D printers. Brother Ethan downloaded a free open source CAD software and within a few weeks had created a sellable design or prototype. Each member of the family, Ethan, Marcy, and Diana, came up with a concept of something to build in order to give kids an idea of what to do with the kit. They wound up choosing a house, a fire station, and a museum. They used pre-cut cardboard pieces along with the plastic connectors that Ethan created with the 3D printer to put together this kit. With that, 3ducksdesign.com was created. The family rented a stall at some farmers markets, created bright, friendly, kid-friendly packaging, and started selling their invention at farmers markets. It was a great way to test the concept to see if people were actually interested in it and get feedback from customers at the same time. One thing Marcy and her kids noticed was that interest was from not only parents, but also from educators. They liked that it wasn't just another kid's toy. I know a lot of my cousins with kids say don't buy them toys, they have too many toys, but this was something unique. And again, it wasn't just a toy, it encouraged creativity, and it taught kids architecture, math, and even art. The family looked at this business from two different angles. They looked at it as selling to consumers, but also selling to selling to educators, both schools and museums. They decided to set up a Shopify store, which you can check out at 3ducksdesign.com, and they priced their kit at $25, right in line with the price of other kids' toys. They also set up a different set for educators and museums, and created some additional educational materials with lesson plans. Catering to both markets allowed the family to sell over 3,000 kits in the past 2 years, and they've gone on to be featured in many publications and media pieces. While Marcy is still a practicing physician, she and her kids like having the extra money, they enjoy working together, and the best part for Marcy has been seeing her kids become more confident through creating something of their own and running their business. The family's future plans include an online 3Ducks University to bring together more lesson plans and architecture challenges for kids and educators to create. That may or may not be set up at the time of this episode airing, but if you want to check it out, you can check out 3ducksdesigns.com. Well, guys, that's pretty much today's episode. As far as some wrap-up commentary on this business, I like a lot of things about it. One thing I like is how the family's invention or product was something that they were able to create on their own. I know a lot of people have ideas for a machine or a piece of electronics or an app, and while those can be great and very lucrative business ideas, these type of things are generally outside of what somebody can create on their own and requires outside people and a lot more money. One thing really cool about this business is it's literally cardboard and plastic. They created the first prototype with scrap cardboard from around the house and some plastic connectors that they were able to make off a $200 3D printer. I think that's one thing to keep in mind when coming up with a business idea or invention. Some ideas or inventions are going to be more easily created on your own. I also like the niche that they chose. It's something different, it's something positive, and it from an angle of being marketable. We all know how huge YouTube is for kids. We all know how huge education and crafting is on Pinterest and Instagram and a lot of other social media platforms. This is something that would be easily marketable using kids and parents on YouTube doing crafts together. Overall, I really like everything about this business. If you want to check out the family Shopify store, I'll put a link in the description box below. And I know I mentioned Teachers Pay Teachers as well as the inventor of Steam Clip who invented who invented his invention himself using the 3D printer. So I'll link to both those videos down in the description box below as well. Anyhow, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, I'd appreciate it if you could hit that thumbs up button and that subscribe button down below. As always, looking for stories from you guys. So if you have a business or a side hustle you'd like featured on an episode, please reach out, rulesforrebels@gmail.com. Anyhow, guys, until next time, this is Rules for Rebels and Side Hustle Tuesdays, signing out.